The Pala Hamburger, a prestigious restaurant perched atop the city's skyline, was a place where dreams were both made and shattered. I, a humble waiter, had never imagined my life would become so entwined with this culinary palace, nor the dark secrets it held. The grandeur of the restaurant was palpable from the moment you stepped inside. Crystal chandeliers dangled from the high ceiling, casting a shimmering dance of light upon the well-dressed patrons. The scent of gourmet burgers and aged wines filled the air, masking the undertone of melancholy that clung to the corners of the establishment like a haunting melody. It was on a bleak autumn evening that I first stepped through the Pala Hamburger's gleaming glass doors. I had secured the job as a waiter, thanks to a family connection, and I was eager to prove myself in the competitive world of fine dining. The restaurant had a reputation for excellence, and I was determined to be a part of its legacy. My first few weeks were a whirlwind of excitement. I learned the ins and outs of the menu, the meticulous service standards, and the art of reading the customers. But amidst the clinking of cutlery and the hushed conversations of the elite, I began to sense something was amiss. It started with a shadow, a mere flicker in my peripheral vision. I would turn, expecting to find a patron beckoning for service, only to be met with an empty chair. At first, I dismissed it as my imagination, a result of the long hours and late nights. But the shadows persisted, growing bolder with each passing evening. One night, as I balanced a tray of steaming dishes, I saw her, a woman, dressed in a flowing white gown, her face obscured by a veil. She sat at a corner table, her presence commanding and haunting all at once. She never ordered, never spoke, yet her presence was unmistakable. Patrons whispered about her, speculating on her origins and her purpose at the Pala Hamburger. The woman in white became my obsession. I couldn't resist stealing glances at her, trying to decipher the enigma she embodied. It was during one of these stolen glances that I noticed the painting, the one that hung above her table. It was a portrait of a beautiful woman, her eyes filled with sorrow, her lips frozen in a melancholic smile. The resemblance between the woman in the painting and the mysterious patron was uncanny. My curiosity got the best of me. After my shift one evening, I stayed behind, pretending to tidy up as I eavesdropped on the conversations of the cleaning staff. They spoke in hushed tones about the woman in white, the painting, and the legend that had haunted the restaurant for generations. According to their tales, the woman in the painting was Isabella Pala, the daughter of the restaurant's founder. She had been a stunning beauty, the heart and soul of the Pala Hamburger, until tragedy struck. On the eve of her wedding, Isabella had mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind a heartbroken groom and a restaurant plunged into mourning. The family had searched for her tirelessly, but Isabella was never found. Her portrait, they said, had been painted by her fiancé as a tribute to her memory. And from that day forward, it had been said that Isabella's spirit remained bound to the Pala Hamburger, unable to find peace until her wedding vows were fulfilled. The tale sent shivers down my spine, but it explained the presence of the woman in white. She was, they said, the ghostly manifestation of Isabella herself, forever waiting for her groom to return. I couldn't help but be drawn into the mystery. I began to research the history of the restaurant, digging through old newspaper clippings and archives. The story of Isabella Pala and her tragic disappearance haunted my every thought, and I became obsessed with unraveling the truth. One evening, as I studied the portrait of Isabella, I noticed something I'd missed before: a faint inscription at the bottom of the canvas. It read, "To my beloved Isabella, forever in my heart, forever in this restaurant." I felt a chill run down my spine. Could it be that Isabella's groom had hidden a message in the painting, a clue to her disappearance? I couldn't ignore the possibility. With newfound determination, I set out to uncover the truth. My investigation led me to the Pala family archives, a dusty room filled with old letters, photographs, and journals. Among the relics of the past, I discovered a journal that belonged to Isabella herself. It chronicled her life, her dreams, and her deep love for her fiancé. As I read through the pages, a sense of unease washed over me. Isabella's words hinted at a tumultuous relationship with Victor, one filled with jealousy and possessiveness. She wrote of feeling trapped, of yearning for freedom beyond the confines of the restaurant. It was a stark contrast to the romanticized image of their love. The more I delved into the past, the more I realized that the Pala Hamburger was not the idyllic haven it appeared to be. It was a place of secrets, of hidden desires, and dark obsessions. The Pala family had guarded these secrets for generations, and I feared what they might do to protect them. My quest for the truth consumed me, and I couldn't help but share my discoveries with a fellow waiter, Maria. She was a kindred spirit, equally intrigued by the mysteries of the Pala Hamburger. Together, we embarked on a mission to unearth the full story of Isabella's disappearance and the enigmatic Victor. Our investigation led us to a dusty cellar, a place seldom visited by the staff. There, hidden beneath layers of cobwebs, we discovered a trove of old letters exchanged between Isabella and Victor. These letters revealed a dark side of Victor, one that had remained hidden from the world. In his letters, Victor confessed to his growing obsession with Isabella. He spoke of his desire to possess her completely, to keep her locked away from the world, and to make her the centerpiece of the Pala Hamburger. He wrote of elaborate plans to trap her within the restaurant, away from her family and friends. Maria and I were horrified by the revelation. It seemed that Victor had orchestrated Isabella's disappearance, imprisoning her within the very walls of the restaurant she had loved. We knew we had to confront the Pala family with the truth, to expose the darkness that had festered for generations. But as we prepared to confront them, an eerie feeling settled over us. The restaurant seemed to come alive with a sinister energy, as if the very walls were closing in on us. The shadows that had once been mere flickers had grown into ominous figures, moving in the corners of our vision. Maria and I had underestimated the power of the Pala Hamburger, the hold it had on its patrons, and the spirit of Isabella that still lingered within. We were trapped, like the countless others before us who had dared to challenge the restaurant's secrets. As the night wore on, our resolve began to wane. The whispers of the patrons grew louder, their faces contorted with a strange mix of hunger and despair. It was as if they had become extensions of the restaurant itself, forever bound to its walls. In a moment of desperation, I looked up at Isabella's portrait, searching for answers. Her eyes, once filled with sorrow, now seemed to mock me. I realized then that we had become pawns in a game much larger than ourselves, a game that had been playing out for generations. With a heavy heart, I turned to Maria, and we made a silent pact. We would escape the Pala Hamburger, no matter the cost. But as we tried to slip away, a cold hand clamped down on my shoulder, and a voice, like an icy whisper, sent shivers down my spine. "You can never leave," it said. I turned to see the woman in white, Isabella herself, standing before us. Her eyes were as pools of sorrow, and her ghostly form seemed to flicker with an ethereal light. She had come to claim us, just as she had claimed so many before. In that moment, I realized the true horror of the Pala Hamburger. It wasn't the restaurant itself that was malevolent, but the darkness that had been woven into its very fabric. The Pala family had unwittingly created a place where the boundaries between reality and illusion blurred, where the past and present coexisted in a twisted dance of desire and despair. As Isabella's ghostly hand reached out to touch us, Maria and I made a desperate leap towards the restaurant's entrance. The world outside was a welcome relief, a stark contrast to the haunting ambiance of the Pala Hamburger. We never looked back, never returned to that cursed place. But the memories of that fateful night continue to haunt me, a reminder that some secrets are best left buried and some restaurants are better left unvisited. The Pala Hamburger still stands atop the city's skyline. Patrons come and go, oblivious to the malevolent forces that lurk beneath the surface. And the legend of Isabella Pala lives on, a cautionary tale of obsession and the price of eternal devotion. But for those who have glimpsed the true nature of the Pala Hamburger, it remains a chilling reminder that some appetites can never be satisfied, and some mysteries are better left unsolved.